Hey guys, I'm back after quite a long hiatus, but we won't talk about that. I'm back with a new video. That's what's important. Today, I'm going to try to knit up a very fancy bag. This is the Longchamp Le Pliage Filet Bag. Okay, so backstory. A couple weeks ago, I was watching Emily in Paris. Emily is out and about in Paris, and what should I see in her hand but this like bright yellow mesh bag. I go online and up pops the Longchamp Le Pliage Filet Bag. I go to the Longchamp website and I see that it is like $110. And that was the moment where I thought, I can make this. I can make this bag. So in this video, I'm gonna try to knit up the Longchamp Le Pliage Filet Bag. Can I do it? Will I succeed greatly and be the master of knitting dupes? Or will I just fail miserably? I'm a bit confident because like a year ago, I designed and knit a market bag. I think with some tweaks, I can turn that bag into a pretty good replica of the Le Pliage Filet Bag. I think I can do it. So Longchamp is a luxury French brand that was founded in Paris, the capital of all things fashionable and chic. And if you know the brand Longchamp, you probably know them for the Le Pliage bag. This is like a giant sort of plastic tote bag. So the Le Pliage bag is so popular that it spawned a lot of variations, like the backpack, there's like a crossbody, a wallet, and of course, the subject of today's video, the filet bag. The Le Pliage filet bag is a collaboration between Longchamp and another French brand called Filt. Filt is the oldest manufacturer of mesh market bags in France. So it has like a really storied history. So the pliage bag is like a marriage between these two brands. We've got the Longchamp handle and the flap, and on the bottom we've got the mesh bag from Filt. So now let's go on the Longchamp website and just take a look at the bag so I can sketch out like a blueprint of what we're gonna do. Let's look at the materials, like what we're actually gonna need to order. Looks like I'm just gonna be needing leather handles and a leather top flap with a gold button and probably some yarn. So I would say like 2 balls of cotton yarn and some sewing thread to sew the handles to the bag. Okay, so let's talk about the design. The top of the bag here is much longer than the market bag. And that's because it needs room for the leather handles and the top flap to attach. I think the body of the mesh bag is also wider and shorter. So I'm just gonna draw my, this is so ugly. The mesh of the bag, like the weave, is much more open than my market bag. And I can sort of see like diamonds. So I'm just gonna make a note of that here. It's a very open weave. And the straps on this are also quite thick. I think this is a pretty reasonable blueprint. It's not very nice looking, but I kind of have an idea of the changes that I need to make. Basically a looser weave, a longer rib top, maybe a longer handle, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's it. And like wider and fatter. Yeah, wider and shorter, I should say. And from there, I hopped onto Lovecrafts to grab the cotton yarn and onto Etsy to find a leather shop that could make a custom leather strap and flap. Longchamp Le Pliage Filet, challenge accepted. The leather straps and the yarn have arrived. This is very exciting. So these are the leather straps and the top flap. I think it looks like pretty good. And then a shocking discovery. The leather handles were actually pleather. This was basically my fault. When I dug into the messages with the Etsy seller, I had contacted her about custom handles, and she said that chocolate brown was only available in faux leather. And for some reason, I said, cool, no problem. Why? I don't know. Maybe I was just really eager to get the handles ordered. It's not a huge deal. We can work with it. This is the top flap, and we're just gonna fold it over, sew it onto the bag, and Bob's your uncle. It should be nice. This is the paint box yarns. It looks good. I like it. If we compare it side by side, maybe the paint box yarns is a little bit warmer, but I'm okay with it. I'm happy with this. And now it's time to experiment with swatching. I have a bunch of these stitch dictionaries, which are basically like recipes or instructions for different stitches. I've gone through and chosen a few stitches that seem like they could be a good match for the fillet bag. The honeycomb lace is promising. It's got an open lace with a diamond pattern, which is similar to the fillet bag. So beside the honeycomb, there's this delta lace, and it looks surprisingly close. The lace is big and airy. It's not a diamond shape, it's more square, but the feeling, the essence, I think is close to the fillet. I was intrigued by this open lace, so I wanted to try it too. So I'll do a swatch of these stitches and then we'll compare. There's another stitch that I want to try out. Now this is a really pretty one and very promising, I think. This is a stitch that I found on Pinterest and it led me to this website. It looks really cool. It's like a diamond shape. However, the English instructions are super confusing. I did a little bit of sleuthing and I found out that there is actually a YouTube video that goes through this pattern. However,
Провязали 4-й ряд и далее продолжаем вязать.
It's in Russian. But I think I can figure out the instructions through the video and the AI generated subtitles. So onwards with swatching. Now we come to the Russian video. I'll just call it Russian diamond lace. There was a lot of pausing the video, interpreting the techniques, writing down instructions, rewatching, rewriting, occasional head scratching, and a lot of talking to myself.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Almost there. I'm so confused. And then how did she finish that off?
Okay. So I managed to knit up the Russian diamond lace pretty well, actually. I wrote out the instructions and I followed along to the YouTube video, and I'll show you. The stitches actually look really nice, and you can really see this diamond pattern coming through. It is gorgeous. I can't wait to have this blocked out. So basically, more knitting for me. I'm gonna finish up this Russian lace. We'll block everything and then compare. Here are two of the swatches before blocking. They're a bit scrunchy and not laying nice and flat, but blocking will sort that out. In they go to soak in room temperature water. They'll soak for a bit, and then I've stretched them out and pinned them onto a towel. We'll wait overnight for them to dry. It's a new day. Our swatches have been blocked. Let's take a look. This is so exciting. So I've been looking at the different swatches for a long time. I feel like I'm going crazy. I feel like the Russian diamond is the most similar in shape to the fillet lace. Honeycomb is like, okay. I feel like the cleanness and the crispness of the Russian lace is more in the spirit of the fillet bag. The others, like the netting stitch, it has the openness, right? But the shape of the lace is a little bit too round and square. So that's kind of out. And same with the fillet lace. It's really nice and lacy, but it's just a little bit too square, and that's not really what we're looking for. So right now, the two contenders are the Russian and the honeycomb, and I'm really leaning towards the Russian lace. The honeycomb, it has like these little strands of yarn, and I feel like that makes the lace look a little bit messy. Whereas the Russian lace, like, ooh, look at those corners, you know, they're really well defined. Even though it seems like I've made a decision, I spent another 20 minutes deliberating back and forth before a final decision is made. We're gonna go with the Russian lace. Yeah, I think it'll be good. It'll be a good match. So we're gonna move forward with the Russian lace. All right, I feel better now that it's settled, because when it wasn't settled, it was just like, analysis paralysis. But now that I've decided, we can move forward. Before I can cast on, I need to figure out what other stitches I'll use for the rest of the bag. These are the potential stitches. Up here, this ribbed section, I'm thinking a twisted rib maybe, or maybe something called heel stitch. So heel stitch is the stitch used when you're knitting the heel portion of the sock. As for the straps, this is a tough one. If we look closely at the straps, my best guess would be an applied I-cord, maybe even like double stockinette stitch. As for design, I'll use my aforementioned market bag pattern, and it goes something like this. The bag is knit flat in one big lace piece. Then the fun starts. We'll pick up stitches along one edge of the lace and then cast on a bunch of stitches to create one handle. Then we'll pick up stitches on the other side of the lace, and when we get to the top, we'll cast on a bunch of stitches to create the second handle. Then we'll join in the round and knit to create those handles, attach the leather flap and handles, et voila, the Longchamp Le Pliage Filet Dupe is complete. I measure out the leather flap and the two handles. The width from one point to the other is 15 centimeters, and that's how wide my top part of the bag needs to be. So I kind of eyeball what I think would give me roughly 15 centimeters in heel stitch, and I cast on 44 stitches on 3.25 millimeter needles. The smaller needles will give me a tight, dense fabric. So I want to show you my progress. This is the top of the bag in heel stitch, and I think the actual stitch looks really nice. Right here, we're going to be attaching our top handle, and I can see that our handle would need to be at least 2 centimeters in order for our leather handle to attach to it. Longchamp has the bag measurements on its website, so from there I do some estimating and math to figure out how many Russian lace stitches I need to get 38 centimeters in width, minus the bag straps on both ends, and how long I should knit it to get 31 centimeters in total, minus the heel stitches on both sides. I'm pretty bad at this, and it takes me a while to get the numbers, and even then I'm not 100% sure that it's right. All right, I've got it. Okay, by George, she's got it.
By George, she's got it. By George, she's got it.
I can move forward now. Okay. I'm increasing the stitches on both ends of the knitting because I want the lace to kind of balloon out and be voluminous. We've done about 8 rows of the Russian diamond lace. I'm a little bit concerned that the lace isn't quite as wide. Looking at the official bag, you can really see the sides sort of flare out. So I'm kind of conflicted. I feel like I want to keep going because it's like the path of least resistance, you know? I really don't want to start over again, so I think it should be fine. It should be fine, yeah. Famous last words. Hello, it's the next morning and I've had some good progress with the bag. I've knit this amount, and I actually had a lot more last night. I measured the bag, and like the width of the bag that I had so far, it turns out the bag was like way too small. So I had to just like rip out, frog all of my progress, and I recast on an extra, I think 14 stitches just to add more width to the bag. Let's do a quick measurement. We're at about like 34 centimeters, and then adding an extra 2 centimeters would bring us to 36. I'm adding 2 centimeters because we're gonna apply the handle later on. It's knitting time. So this is my progress after like a couple hours, not bad. And I'm basically just working off of this transcribed Russian diamond lace from that YouTube video. Yeah, so I'm gonna take a little break. I don't know, go stretch and do something, and then we'll get right back into it. enjoyable in life as tea, knitting, and trash TV. When you have all three together, it's like, just like perfection.
It's always been my dream to work on it, and I made it.
Let's go for a walk, baby. Good girl, let's go for a walk. Good girl. Feeling a little stir crazy in the flat, so let's go out and knit in a cafe. One of my favorite things to do. Today has just been endless Russian lace. So let's go and measure work and see where we're at. It measures 50 centimeters. Now we are going to decrease the number of stitches back to 44 because that's what we started with up here with heel stitch. So I'm trying to figure out how to get from 66 stitches to 44. Am I doing a knit two together across the row, or knit three, knit two together? That's what I'm trying to figure out, and it takes me a lot longer than I care to admit. And I end up having to literally draw out the stitches so that I can figure out how I'm gonna work this decrease row. I'm gonna do knit two together and then knit two. And now I should have 44 stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 42 and 44, yeah, math wins. Okay, so now that I've got 44 stitches, I can start working heel stitch. And the next morning, heel stitch is complete. Yeah, 6 centimeters of heel stitch, beautiful. Let's just admire like this bag so far. It is so baggy. I love it. All right, we're gonna cast off and then we can talk about the handles and the rest of the bag. I was looking at photos of the fillet bag and made a shocking discovery. There's an interior leather flap at the top of the bag. So how that relates to our bag is we've got this little foldy over thing. In order to kind of get it lying flat, I would need that leather flap to kind of fold over it, so that it lies flat. If you remember the leather components that I ordered from Etsy, I got the top flap, 2 straps, and that's it. Like, I just got these 3 things. I did not get any leather components to go over this part of the bag, like it shows on the actual bag. So this is pretty bad. If we don't have that, then this just kind of curls down. That's not good because we want it to stand up, right? So we need that component. So after a lot of guilt and turmoil about forgetting this piece, I settled on 2 solutions. One, go to a leather store and find something thin enough that I could cut and sew through, or go to a craft store and construct the interior piece out of felt. Yep, felt. Not my favorite, but ordering a new custom piece from Etsy would take way too long, so that was out of the question. Oh gosh. I think I'm gonna go to the craft store first because that's easier to get to. Yeah. This is like my hair cloth now. I'm like ashamed and embarrassed, so I'm just gonna cover my face. What I meant to say is hair shirt. A shirt made of rough animal hair worn next to the skin as a penance. Game of Thrones moment. Shame, shame, shame. I forgot the leather component. And I'm off to the craft store. This one is inside a commercial building. I'm on a mission, laser focused. Ooh, Fimo. What is sad yarn selection here? Ah, felt, laser focused. Got it. Let's go home. Now let's knit the handles. I'm gonna use my 3.25mm needles to pick up stitches along the side of the bag. I'll start by stabbing my needle into the top of the bag and using a new ball of yarn to wrap it around the needle and pull out a new stitch. That's it. I'll do that across the entire length of the bag. Ta-da! The stitches have been picked up across one side of the bag. Now it's time to create the top handles. We're working the handles of the bag using the backward loop cast on. Grab the yarn, make a loop, and then put it onto our needle like this. So that's one cast on stitch. Here's 2, here's 3, and I'm just gonna cast on 95 stitches, 94 and 95. Cool. You can kind of see this little strap taking place here, right? So we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side of the bag. So we picked up stitches on this side, we cast on a bunch of stitches here. Now we're going to repeat the picking up of stitches on the other side. So now I've picked up stitches from one edge all the way to the other edge. And now I'm going to cast on 95 stitches to create that second strap. 4 and 95. Cool. Now I'll join the stitches in the round. I'm going to knit into the first stitch that we picked up on our left needle and then pull out a stitch. Now I'm gonna knit in stockinette stitch. You can see like the bag kind of taking shape. You know, this is kind of like the shape of the bag in a really scrunched up form. I'm just gonna continue knitting, but yeah, we're almost at the finish line. I've knit up quite a lot of stockinette stitch. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna fold the straps in half. So I'll kind of seam it in place once I cast off. It's about like 1.5 centimeters. It looks about right to me. I'm going to do a regular old cast off across the whole round. I've got one stitch left on my cast off, so I'm gonna use the tail end of the yarn to seam the entire handle in half. So I'm estimating how much yarn I'll need, and it's a lot. I snip it off and weave it into the last stitch to secure it in place. Now I've got this long strand of yarn, coming out from that last stitch. But for now, let's just admire this bag. Oh my gosh, I'm really happy with this. I think it looks really nice. Now I'm going through the slow process of seaming up the handles, and I found this amazing tutorial that just really good at like breaking things down. So this is the edge of the seam, and you can see it's like pretty invisible, like it looks nice. It's gonna take a while for me to seam up this whole handle, but you know, we'll get there. It's like 11 o'clock and I am determined to finish the handles. I'm in this hunched over position for like an hour. That can't be good for my back.
1 hour later.
There is a little bit of a complication. The seam goes from like, you know, nice white, and then here it switches to a cream off-white. And that's because I ran out of yarn. And it's really crazy because when I knit up this market bag here, I used 2 balls of yarn and I had like quite a good handful left over, but for some reason this Russian lace has been eating up yarn like no other. So by the time I got to, you know, seaming up the straps, it just, like, there just wasn't enough. It's really just from here to here. So I really wish I had just like 1 meter more. But other than that, I am really happy with the straps and how they turned out. I think it looks really cute. It's past midnight, so let's block this biatch. Mama needs to sleep. I'm just gonna soak this bag. So this has been sitting overnight, and now I'm just going to push out a lot of the water. Ooh,
Cotton does hold quite a lot of water. All right, so I'm gonna just lay out my dry bag here, and I wanted to stretch out the lace part of the bag.
I grab a plastic bag and fill it with some clothes. Then I stretch the pliage bag over the plastic bag, thereby stretching it out even further and making the lace look more lacy. I'll stretch out the handles and pin them in place. This is to make them a bit longer. The bag will dry to this stretched out proportion, and that's the beauty of blocking. I'll let this dry overnight, and now I really gotta go to bed.
It's a new day and our bag is dry. Oh, exciting. All right, let's take our bag apart. There we go. Ah, looking good. I love this. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now let's just try it on. Let's try it on the body and see how it looks. Oh my gosh, it's really cute. I'm loving how it hangs. Blocking it has really made a big difference. Like the lace is nice and open. Those diamonds are really popping. Like they look really defined. You know, there's a feather in my cap. I'm really pleased with this. Now I think we're ready to attach the leather straps and the flap. And then we're just gonna be done. Oh my gosh, like, I love it.
I'm firing up my iron to flatten out the handles of the bag. I want them to be perfectly flat and folded in half and not rounded and tubular. Even blocking couldn't straighten out that curl from the heel stitch, so I'm gonna iron over the top. Now it's leather time. After investigating, it seems that this internal piece has two requirements. It has to provide stability for the handles, and it also needs to fold over the top of the bag, thereby preventing the curling of the heel stitch and also giving a nice finish. I'm gonna make a pattern to ensure that the size and placement is correct before I cut into the felt. The tricky thing is making sure that the handles of the facing line up with the actual handles. Just looking at it, it seems okay. So I'm gonna go full steam ahead, or full seam ahead. I'll see myself out. I'll seam the front part first. I'm gonna use backstitch, which is a really common hand sewing technique. We've secured one side of the flap, and now I'm gonna just cut off the excess from the back. I need to be really careful that I don't end up cutting the knitting. Now I'll sew the other handle onto the bag, and then we'll move to the back facing. The back facing is almost identical to the front, except that the middle part needs to be longer because we need to attach the bag flap onto it. So I've taped a longer piece of paper onto the pattern to account for that. And once I make my pattern and cut out the felt, it's sewing time. Back, strap, and the flap have been attached. Now the finishing touch is the button. I'm taping it onto the bag so I get the placement exactly right, and then I'm just sewing it onto the bag. And then I'll trim off that excess felt. So this is our bag, and let's just... Yeah, okay, so this flap, I had a feeling it might be too stiff, and it is. So when I close it, you can see here, it just sort of pops open. This popping up bag flap is really annoying me. It reminds me of a popped collar, like it just looks wrong. So I'll weigh it down with my stitch dictionaries, and hopefully that'll flatten it out. It's been 2 days since I've weighed down this bag. So let's see what the bag looks like. All right, hey. It's not fully flat, but I think it looks pretty good. We are looking at our finished bag. Let's go and try this on. Here it is, the finished bag. It is a little bit hard to button. There it is. But once it's buttoned, I think it looks really cute. If I was wearing this out, I would probably put it over the shoulder, but I didn't knit the bag strap long enough. So it's sort of like riding up on my
on my shirt. It's not super like aesthetically pleasing to have these these flying around. These leather straps are just too long, and this knitted strap is too short. They're almost the same height, you know, the same length. It's almost like a mouth, like rah, you know. Anyway, I have a head of lettuce, some carrots. Let's put a book in here, my little beach read. Once I put all these heavy items in, the strap lengthens, and now my big baggy shirt can kind of fit more comfortably. So yeah, it looks like it should be, well, no, it doesn't really look like leather. It should be leather, but it's not, it's just felt. But I think it looks okay. The other side looks also like felt.
But after playing around with the bag, I fell in love with it again, and dark thoughts about the felt just melted away.
Yeah, I'm liking it. I think I'm gonna just like wear this around. So cute, I love it.
And that is the end of Knitting Designer Dupes Longchamp Le Pliage Filet Bag Edition. Yeah! Overall, I am happy with this bag. I love how the lace turned out. It's so open and airy, and those diamonds, like they're just perfect angles, like chef's kiss perfection. Love the lace. I also love how the linen stitch looks. Like it's so similar to the Filt bag, it's uncanny. So that was a great decision. Pat myself on the back. I think the shape is also pretty spot on. It could be a bit fatter, but overall I am happy with it. I also love the knit handles. The stockinette stitch lays really flat, and the seam is, well, it's seamless. It's a really nice finish. Stuff I didn't like quite so much. So the handles, they're just way too long, and it's my fault because I gave the shop the wrong measurements. That's on me. Another thing I wish I'd done differently is ask the shop for matching thread. Right now, you can tell that the thread and the leather, it just doesn't match. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. There's a difference, and it bugs me. I also wish that I'd ordered more white cotton yarn because we were so close to getting it perfect. It's not the end of the world, but it would have been nice if the whole bag was just one type of yarn. Lastly, the felt. Not ideal at all. I know it's on the inside of the bag. It still provides the support and stability for the flap and handles. It just doesn't look that nice. But in spite of all these mistakes, I'm still pretty impressed with myself. So I give myself like a 7 out of 10, solid B. Anyway, I've written up this pattern so that you can knit up your own Longchamp Le Pliage Filet Dupe if you want to. The link is down in the description. This is like a very new concept that I'm trying out. So if you want me to knit up other designer items, let me know which items you want me to try. This is the internet, so you know, let your voice be heard. I'm Davina from sheepandstitch.com. Thank you for being on this journey with me. There have been some ups, there have been some downs, but I'm glad that we could do this together. Made it more fun. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!